some alternatives to the problem based on the different sectors, and then we're going to wrap it up in the next conclusion. So as you already know, the problem statement is, as a global community, how do we provide energy / developing nations with the energy necessary to continue the rapid growth and thereby continue to leave hundreds of millions of people out of poverty without jeopardizing the well-being of future generations. So based on a UN report, they estimate that 1.3 billion people live in poverty, and out of those people, 70% are women. As we can see in the chart, which is divided between different regions, the million of people live without electricity and access to fresh water. In this other chart, we see income distribution in the world, and basically 4 billion people live in less than $1,500 a year. So as we see, poverty is a problem and access to energy services. So one way that we can solve this is by focusing on energy education. Basically, especially for developing nations, they should focus on research and development, and they also should focus on consumption choices of individuals. Basically because we have energy efficiency of energy conservation leads eventually to higher rather than lower energy use. So in order, we need to have energy efficiency and also deterrence in consumption to have a positive solution. We also need to focus especially on women literacy because they're the ones that usually are more affected as not getting access to education. Emergency markets are not able to support their economic growth because of the lack of professional education and education of new technologies, so it's very important for the economy to continue their growth, not to have lack of professional education.
So we believe that governments here play a very important role globally, that they can provide incentives to industry and private sector, both negative and positive incentives. And one of the most efficient incentives that our group think the government can provide is carbon tax and trade, which provide incentives for the industry to invest in new technologies and reduce their CO2 emissions in the long term. At the same time, it creates a high revenue for the government that can help the government to reduce the tax rate for the low-income portion of the society, and also provide funds to technology and research development in that country. And we think that governments must have a clear policy that encourages investing in renewable energy and provide tax credit for that. Another important issue here is technology development and deployment around the world. As you may know, renewable energies are very costly currently and very expensive. And in fact, that renewable energy technology is in the hands of developed countries only, and a few companies around the world like GE and Siemens have the technology to build like solar panels and wind turbines. And we think that the solution is that companies needs to transfer the technology and knowledge to developing countries around the world, and able to make that company that help that countries to create that like solar panels and wind turbines locally with lower cost, and that helps developing countries to create employment, which reduce the poverty, and for sure it will save the environment, and it will help to economic development of that country. Another way is creating joint venture. That big corporations can create joint ventures with local companies in that developing countries, and they can transfer the knowledge and technology in the long term that those developing countries can produce energy efficient and environmental friendly renewable energy locally. Stakeholder relations is really important here as well, as we believe public has a really important role here, companies and governments need to educate the public about their projects around the world. And they should inform them by creating workshops and educating sessions that they can describe the advantages of their project to the public. And governments should have a policy that encourages public participation in that countries. And these policies should allow the public to intervention whenever is necessary. And as I said, the government should encourage public to do consultation with the industry. But with all that said, actually, we can't do nothing if you don't have money for that. And traditionally, the money was provided to developing countries by international organizations like World Bank through loans that they give to the governments of these countries. But unfortunately, as we know, the corruption rate in these countries is really high, and the money doesn't make any difference. And we think that the procedure needs to be changed, and the money should go to local people, local community directly instead of giving them to the government. By doing that, an example of that is actually in microfinance projects. As microfinance projects have a proven record of success in a lot of African and Asian countries, these projects give loans to local people in some of the poorest regions of that country, and they can build powered charging houses which works with solar panels that the local poor people can take their solar, their small lamps to that houses to charge it, and it will work in several different ways. First, it will reduce the pollution, both indoor and outdoor pollution, because in that regions people usually burn kerosene in order to light in night. And they will save money by not buying kerosene, and they can pay back their loans by saving that. It will create education, employment, and it will reduce the poverty and save the environment at the end. So, as a conclusion, as you can see, and obviously I think you know the definition of sustainable development, we think that the solution to the problem here is sustainable development, in which that all three aspects of that, social, environmental, economic, is taken into consideration. And we think that by just focusing on one of the topics, one of the categories, and ignoring two others, we can be successful in this challenge. So we think that we need to really focus on all three aspects at the same time to be successful. And I think that's it. I just want to say thank you for your time, and we'll be happy to answer questions.
So, this is very good. So, is your solution education, or is it all the elements you described?
It was actually all of them, just a combination of all of them.
And all of them, how they contribute to sustainable development.
Right, in an energy system, so it's all the systems interrelated that will ultimately provide the ultimate solution, or that positive solution to that.
As I said in conclusion, we can be successful just with focusing on one aspect. We need to be more.
So your proposal is take all of these elements,
Yeah.
and work them together to drive sustainable development.
Yeah.
The Pazmino report came out 25 years ago, so it's been kind of slow to be implemented. So where it's been implemented in terms of renewables and sustainabilities in developed countries, it was too expensive. It was very expensive. So how can we do things faster than 25 years and have it work in developing countries if it's already too expensive for developed countries?
This is our one of the proposals. So if we are, as international community, will develop the mass production of the renewable in the global scale, it will guide to reduction of the cost of this renewable, because part of the equation is the labor cost too. So if we will boost production around the world for renewable, particularly for PV, wind, so we can solve both problem, cost problem and the implementation problem. So this is how we see this.
And with the microfinance, we're empowering people by helping with the capital at the beginning, and then it will become self-sustainable in the future.
But your microfinance solution might have a hard time with a wind turbine.
Yes.
Because the microfinance might have a $200 limit, and wind turbine is going to cost a lot more. So we've got kind of a macro solution, and we got a micro.
We're more focused on solar by microfinance projects.
On a different note, one of the big issues you raised was the potential for JVs between developed nations with EIP. One of the concerns that I've heard specifically from solar and wind companies is that they don't want to export some of their manufacturing to places such as China, for the very reason that they can't risk the IP transfer that they've seen in their competitors. That is to say, the knowledge transfer that you're espousing is in fact detrimental to their IP protection. How would you safeguard, to look at it from the developed world company's perspective, how would you safeguard them under such circumstances?
Probably it's this is the most challenging problem, and really solution for this, it's willing to create better for world for everybody. So let's say if developed country will not invest in developing world, finally it will affect developed world too, directly and indirectly. So solution for this could be joint venture. So basically guarantee, who can provide the guarantee? Only strong the government. So answering for this question, I don't know if we can guarantee that we can solve this problem in short term, but definitely only on United Nations level and with mutual collaboration of different nations, we can achieve this goal. If we will talk only about the interest of the corporation, we will never achieve the goal of developing the world.
And also, as you said, you're concerned about China specifically. Sooner or later, they will produce it as they're producing now. Many think that, like iPad or every new technology that developed in the US, they're producing it in very lower cost and same product, not the same quality, but they're producing. So sooner or later, they'll produce it. So it's better to invest in that and educate the people to transfer technology. And I guess they can generate a lot of money by doing that. It's not just transferring the technology for free.
That's all the time we have for questions. The next team is going to be Team 6.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.